Get ready for an unforgettable experience at the Wolf Media Festival. Join us at the Hilton Event Center, April 18th, 19th, and 20th, 2025, for a weekend filled with exciting films, creative workshops, inspiring panels, and interactive events. From film screenings to photography exhibits, podcast showcases to TikTok battles, there's something for everyone. Get your tickets now at www.wolfmediafest.com.
It's the Wolf Media Festival podcast. Today's guests. From the film The Seductress from Hell, director and writer Andrew de Burgh and actor Raj Jawa. And now, here's your hosts, Kyle Hollingsworth, Richard Wilmore, and Jack Quellen Wolfhart.
Hello, my friends. Oh, Richard, I love your background.
So what are you up to, Mr. Halloween background? What's going on with you right now?
Well, you know, decorating the house for Halloween, getting the outside ready for trick-or-treaters.
Oh, you get trick-or-treaters?
So that'll be fun.
My neighborhood does not. You do?
We do get a few. We had a lot more in Texas, like the whole neighborhood. But here, it's like the community where there's townhouses, single-family homes. So all the kids go to the single-family homes. So we don't get as many. But
and what about you, Kyle? Do you guys trick or treat? Do you get trick or treaters?
I love Halloween. What about you?
I love Halloween. I mean, when I lived in LA, we would get just mountains and mountains of trick or treaters. We lived on a really main kind of street. Here, I have a driveway that's like that, and I live out in the middle of nowhere where there's very few houses. So no one comes here. So it's not a thing. I was just talking about this, like, what are we gonna do for Halloween? Like, no one Halloween's here because there's no trick-or-treaters. I might want to go into town somewhere where there's more stuff going on just to kind of be in that vibe.
I know. I thought about not putting decorations, like I do inside and outside, and I was like, do I waste my time putting stuff outside when no one's coming around? And should we just turn off all the lights and go trick-or-treating ourselves and have fun?
Do you trick-or-treat?
I haven't in a long time, but apparently in this community, the adults, a lot of the houses have drinks for adults when you go there.
Yes.
So
yeah.
And it's one of those communities where it's like people have golf carts, so people just ride around and
they're pros.
We'll see. Yeah.
When my son was younger and I used to take him trick-or-treating, there was a whole posse of people who would show up with their coffee cups.
Yeah.
And just walk around the neighborhood with their cocktails or their wine, and their kids were trick-or-treating. It was as social for us as it was for the kids.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So fun.
I love trick-or-treating. It's so much fun. Just trick-or-treating for me. I have not heard until I moved to Florida. The second time I moved to Florida, so in the last 6 years, was the first time I heard of these adult beverage trick-or-treating. And, you know, I've been trick-or-treating for 40-something years. And I had never heard of it before, but it has like a term. I'm just house crawl, but I feel like there's another term. Anyways, as much as I want to talk about trick-or-treating and what we're wearing for Halloween, I'm very excited about today's guests. We had 2 guests and super cool horror film, almost maybe psychological. I don't know. I would, as the viewer, not really psychological, but the characters, what they're going through, very psychological. So yeah, let's get into this interview.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Wolf Media Festival podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hollingsworth. I'm here with Richard Wilmore, and we are delighted today to have not one, but 2 guests. Andrew de Burgh, who is a critically acclaimed Hollywood writer and director, and Raj Jawa, an accomplished actor, producer, and editor with a hugely diverse portfolio. They're here to talk about the film The Seductress from Hell, which won Best Horror Feature and also Best Director of Horror Feature. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. It's a pure pleasure to have you here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate it.
Yeah. You're very, very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you want to jump in first, Richard, or do you want me to?
Sure. Do you want to kind of introduce yourself separately and maybe what you did on this film?
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I wrote, produced, and directed it. I kind of had my hands in all areas of production design, sound design, music, casting, editing, coloring. Like, I guess I'm one of those directors that kind of has a very concrete vision for a film, and I love just working with everyone. So yeah, this has been something I've been doing horror for quite a while. Like, I've done short horror films, and I have a thriller TV show coming out soon, which is also horror. So it's kind of my genre, I guess. So yeah.
Nice. And I'm Raj Jawa. I was one of the executive producers on the film, and I played the role of Derek, one of the principals in the film.
I just want to know a little bit about, I was reading about like you loved horror films when you were younger, and you were inspired to make something really epic. And this film's very important to you. I'm sure, I understand from all the reading I've done. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about the inspiration for the film. What moved you to kind of take the plunge to do a film like this, a really deep horror kind of genre?
Yeah, I guess it started when I was a kid. Like, growing up, I grew up in England and Spain, and I was just obsessed with films from a young age. And I remember at a friend's party, like, I was 12 years old. I think my parents didn't know this, but they started playing The Shining. And I think I stopped watching it after 20 minutes because I was so scared at that age. But it was like, I remember it being so well made. And then when I revisited later on, I think I was like probably 21 or something when I watched it for the first time all the way through. I sort of got into horror, and I guess I've often been a fan of horror films. You know, I kind of grew up on all those movies like The Omen, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Exorcist, Hellraiser, Maniac Cop, Child's Play, and a lot of Korean films like The Wailing, and then the Japanese film Audition. So
Ooh.
yeah, I guess horror is just something. I mean, I have done other genres as well, but I guess there's something interesting about this genre, and I'm always trying to find new ones. I just went to see Alien Romulus this last week, and that was really well done.
Oh wow, you do love horror films. I grew up on a lot of those too, so I'm familiar.
No, those are classics. I guess you must like them.
Yeah, they are.
Do you sleep okay at night? Because I feel like I wouldn't.
I guess you can blame Hollywood for how it's become.
I suppose it's not as scary when you're watching it being done, right?
I mean, I feel like when I was younger, I used to be scared of horror, but when I realized like how scary the world is, it's like it doesn't frighten me anymore.
That's deep.
It's some truth, right? Like,
that's the end of the podcast. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Okay, see ya. We understand the world now. So tell me about the title of the film and the genesis of that particular title. So it's The Seductress from Hell. That's pretty blunt. Say more about that, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, Raj and I, when I was like writing the script, like that was, I forget if that was the first title, but we kind of both agreed on that, like I think before production. But yeah, I guess it was almost a tribute to those 80s films like A Nightmare on Elm Street or Hellraiser. It was kind of like we wanted something where people would say, oh, wow, this is like really memorable. You know, it's like people know it's horror. I guess like we're not trying to pretend we're something else. You know, so.
Yeah. And Raj, you also won a role for supporting a best supporting role, right? For this film?
That is correct. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mention that before, but yeah, you guys are.
No, not at all. Don't worry.
Neither of you are strangers to winning awards or certainly having, a lot of experience. I really enjoyed reading about both of your history, all the films that you've made and the roles that you've played. And it's pretty fascinating. Do you want to say a little bit, Raj, about your role in this film and how that was for you? I know you had many roles, but the role in the acting.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, Derek is, all the characters are sort of the worst people in humanity, not like really in an always sunny kind of way, but just like demonstrating some of the worst qualities, especially highlighted by LA and Hollywood mindsets. So I am, like I said, the best of these characters. And I'm sort of the catalyst. I'm sort of figuring out the mystery of what's going on and sort of taking the pushing back against the seductress, as it were, as she goes upon this mission of revenge and vengeance.
Yeah, scary stuff. And you said, Andrew, that this particular movie is a lifelong attempt. So can you tell me a little bit about that? Have you been working on this film for many years?
Not this particular film, but I guess in 2015, my first short film was a horror. It actually had a famous horror actress, Barbara Nedljikova. She was in Hostel. She was the villain in Hostel. And I guess I've always found it I feel like there's not enough well-written female roles in Hollywood. So I feel like that's kind of something I've tried to do over the years, like with short films and then with this and even my show. So yeah, I guess it was kind of, although this particular project wasn't like long, many years in the thing, like I guess the idea of like these female driven horror films of like something I've been passionate about for a long time. And I've been writing and directing them for almost 10 years now. So
awesome. Well, thank you for creating roles for women.
Thanks. Yeah.
Seductress from Hell sounds like a Halloween costume that you'd find at Party City. Were you into Halloween? With Halloween coming up soon, were you into Halloween as kids, and I mean maybe even as adults, and dressing up? Do you have a favorite costume?
I will say, like, I wasn't the biggest horror fan, to be honest, before this. So also to speak on the question, not Halloween either. But really working on this film has taken me there. But I enjoy more of the kind of moral story or social story, which Seductress fits in, but movies like Happy Death Day and such like this. So I don't really know if I have a particular Halloween costume or an enjoyment for Halloween per se, but I do have gotten into horror much more and see the value of the genre much more than I did when I was, from the outside.
Yeah, I hear that. I like horror films. I'm just very, very particular about them. So, and so on the set of a film like this, that's so intense and everything, how's the morale with the cast, and how do you keep the vibe high on set when you're filming this?
No,
if you
of
don't
course.
mind my asking, Andrew?
Yeah, I think basically from day one, like with whoever we hired, like whether it was the production designer or the actors, like I kind of told them, like, filmmaking means a lot to me, and what we're trying to do, like do an independent film and have it be successful. It's not easy. There's a lot of stress that comes with it. There's a lot of different personalities. So I think managing that is important on set, like having no egos, which I think Raj mentioned the other day in an interview. Like we were lucky with that. And yeah, I guess just everyone kind of just putting their everything into it, and it's like not everyone's always going to get along on set, but as long as people are professional, they work hard, they have a good attitude, get the job done, which we're lucky that it happened. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is preparation. Like we spent many months in pre-production, like basically trying to find the best people possible. We actually even had an actress drop out, the lead actress, a month before the shoot.
Wow.
We had signed another actress, a very talented up-and-comer, and she found it very difficult to get into this like very dark role. So we kind of mutually decided to part ways. And then, so yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Like it's filmmaking isn't easy in many ways,
Absolutely. Absolutely. You kind of have to put the project before everybody else. Like you're all in it together, It's like you're all rowing a giant ship.
How early into the project did you find each other, and how did you find each other?
Good ask.
We actually found each other before this project. I'd started working with Andrew. Andrew had reached out. We'd become friends through a social event. And he actually did a commercial for India Sweets and Spices, which is a grocery store my family own in the Los Angeles area, Indian grocery store and restaurant. So he had started with a commercial for us. And through that process, we just started talking about films we could possibly produce together. And we landed on this script, which eventually would become The Seductress from Hell.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about the main character and her sort of arc, if you can kind of condense it. I'm just curious to hear from you, Andrew, how you see her, what her character arc is from your perspective, and what you hoped it would be.
Yeah, so I guess like the idea sort of came about in life sometimes. Like I think in LA, the Hollywood industry, sometimes in life sometimes there's people that we show different sides, and so like Zara's this, like on the surface she's this like normal actress, and she goes to audition, she's married, she has like a family life and stuff. But it's like she has a dark side to her. And her husband, who's played by Jason Thornton, he's a famous he's the Red Power Ranger, one of the Red Power Rangers. Yeah, so he basically is the catalyst, like for making Zara who she becomes. So he physically and verbally abuses her and stuff.
Yeah, he drives her over the edge, sounds like.
Yeah.
Is it still exciting to hear that you are either nominated or are winning awards? Or is it like, I got this?
No, never. I mean, we in this industry is so difficult that we can't take anything for granted. We're grateful for any success. Like we're always, I think it's important to remain humble. I think that's something a lot of people lose.
That's true. It is important.
Absolutely. And I think there is sometimes a lack of perspective from some creatives, some artists that don't really see the opportunity of any size, podcast, show, award, what have you. When you're not anywhere, when you're waiting to get on like Hot Ones or whatever, you can take the paths or the journeys along the way or the opportunities that come. So I'm always very grateful for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, right? You never know what's going to happen inside of a conversation, and so just being open to the possibilities is a big part of it.
Do you remember? I always think it's funny when you hear like people who are nominated for Emmys or Oscars or whatever, and they were in the bathtub when they heard, or like they were out at Waffle House or wherever. Do you have any stories of like you were somewhere crazy when you heard that you won something?
I mean, I don't think so as of yet. I mean, I kind of stay at my computer, so I'm always at my computer. I'm always right here when I'm getting most news. Yeah, I don't have one yet, but I'm looking forward to that story coming because I'm sure it is.
Okay, cool.
I think I remember, like, I think it was 5 years ago. There's a festival in LA called the Love International Film Festival, and I had my first feature actually. It's called The Bestowal. It's actually a sci-fi drama romance film, very different to this. And I was up for a couple of awards actually, director and screenplay at the festival, and like the people that running against me were like much more established filmmakers than myself. And when I won best screenplay, I was surprised. I actually didn't even write a speech because like I didn't think I was going to win. Maybe that was bad on my part. I should have. But yeah, I guess that was like I was kind of surprised. And like one of the filmmakers I was up against, he's a huge star in India, and I was lucky. He actually won best director, and I won best screenplay. So
maybe that goes back to your humbleness of like you weren't expecting it, as opposed to walking up and be like, "Oh my god, I'm so shocked I won. Here, let me think." But yeah, exactly.
I have a question about your work dynamic together. Obviously, I can feel the energy. We're all here together, and I can tell there's a lot of comfort and trust between the two of you. And I'm just curious to know a little bit more about that because it's really special, when you have a tight relationship with people that you're doing something of this magnitude with. And I'd just love to hear from each of you about what it's like to work together and how that relationship informs the success.
Or the bad stories if y'all did something awful to each other.
Or the bad stories. Or the dirt. Spill the tea.
Thankfully, we don't have any bad stories that I could think of. I'll maybe Andrew has one. But no, I think our relationship is great. I think it comes a lot from the fact that we are pretty similar minded when it comes to like social and political issues, things like that, the nature of the film in general, what we wanted to get across, even if I think for Andrew it's more on the horror leanings with the political message, and on me it's more of the political message with a little bit of the horror. So I think we just have these attitudes that I think are really well meshed together, and I think that's really played off in the way we work together, and probably will continue to work together as we go forward.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's a great answer. I mean, I think, I would say something similar. It's kind of, I think Raj and I from day one, we kind of not only got along, but we have a very similar passion for films. Like I love watching movies. Like I try and see a movie every day. Like I'm always looking at Tubi to find like new Korean horror films or whatnot. So yeah, I love movies. I'm very grateful to be able to do this, and I hope it continues. So I guess it's just hard work. I mean, it's not easy making a film, like finding dozens of people to shoot, and, post-production is challenging too. I mean, a lot of difficult decisions have to be made about which scenes need to be cut for the running time. And yeah, I guess it's a life journey, like there's nothing like, I don't know even people that are big, like they still can be bigger. And like, it's a path, it's a long process.
What is the next step for the film? Like it's in festival circuits now, or?
Yeah, we're premiering next month at the Glendale International Film Festival. And then we're also screening at the Michaud Film Festival in LA, which is another big up and coming festival. And then, we're looking at like a limited release next year. Not exactly sure when. And we have a sequel written as well. So maybe we'll fund financing for that. And I guess it's just keep it going, you know.
So the general public will eventually get to see it, right?
Yeah, we've been lucky. We've had a lot of critical reviews have come out of the film, like from some big Rotten Tomatoes critics. So we're very lucky about that as well.
I don't know if it's all luck. It's everything, right? It's luck, and it's
Thanks.
also a good movie. And I'm curious to ask you. So I love to ask this question of filmmakers. What would you like? I'll just say me as an audience member. If I'm going into the theater and I see this film and I come out of this film, what would you love it if my biggest takeaway is? Like, what would you love for the impact to be on me of this movie?
Well, for sure. I was going to say we may have different takeaways, but for me, I really emphasize on the themes of kind of the crisis of individualism and the prevalence of inauthenticity. So these are kind of maybe not explicitly spoken ideas in the movie, but they are heavily prevalent throughout the entire film. And really the if the seductress's husband is the catalyst, this is more of the environment that set the tone for everything that's happening. The oppressive nature of the demands of Hollywood, the lack of authenticity of people around you in Los Angeles. And I'm sure that exists everywhere, but I know LA is kind of a boiling pot of that in like excess or in exponential form. So those are the two that really stand out to me. And I would hope that the audiences have a takeaway of those aspects.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that for sure. I mean, those are huge themes in the film. I guess like for me as a filmmaker, director, like above all, I just hope people enjoy it. Like, for me, like the difference between a good movie and a movie I don't enjoy is quite substantial, So like for me, I'd love people to be motivated or I guess inspired by it in the same way that movies like Lord of the Rings or The Dark Knight have inspired me. Even Drive's one of my top 5 as well. And yeah, I guess the message is like, it's ironic, like being a horror film, like I guess people necessarily wouldn't see this, but the goal is basically to create a more empathetic society. So we sort of have Zara, like she started out as this nice person, and it's like we see like how much this tragedy and trauma like change her, and it's like she basically goes from a good person to a bad person. So it's like in life itself, cruelty creates cruelty, and kindness breeds kindness. So it's like we're trying to show that like maybe we should all try and be nicer to each other, and I guess that's idealistic, but
no, I love that. That's what we want. Yeah. I love that, more kindness.
Do you find it difficult to go watch movies, like take yourself out of the filmmaker part and go watch a movie for like the entertainment value? Or can you go to a theater and watch a movie and not pick it apart, or not like be able to immerse yourself in it? And if you can, what was the last really good movie you saw?
Yeah, I guess I think it's, for me, it's not difficult anymore. Like maybe it was when I first started directing, but for me, like I guess everything comes together, right? It's like you're in the moment, like you just see the film on screen. What you hear and what you see is basically the film. So I guess I kind of just enjoy it for what it is. But I guess maybe after I see the movie, I think, okay, the production design was good, or the lighting or the music was really good. And so many things come together to make a movie. So it's like, it's so difficult. So when I see a good movie, it's like, it's an extraordinary achievement. I guess the last good movie I saw was, I think it's called Blade of the Immortal. It's a Japanese action samurai film. I saw that this week. That was really good. And even Alien Romulus was phenomenal. I mean, it was just so well done. Like that director, Fede Alvarez, he's very talented. He also did Don't Breathe and the Evil Dead 2013 version. He's a very talented horror director. So
wow. I just wanted to make a comment about the key art because I think it's stunning. And I mean, I do a lot of different things, and I used to do key art and stuff. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's so good. It's just so clear, and it's so clean, and it's so ominous. And anyway, just wanted to give a nod to that.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I think it's simple, but I feel like it's effective. It's like, that's one thing I learned working with the distributor in my first feature. It's like, you don't need to make things complicated, right? It's like people they see the poster, they see the trailer, they know the title of the film, and they want to watch it. That's marketing is like huge when it comes to films. Like it's so crucial.
Absolutely. I think simple is always the best. I mean, you can tell at one glance what it's about. You don't need to know more. And it makes me want to watch it looking at it. So I don't know. I'm a big fan of key art, so I get excited about it.
Thank you.
You co-wrote this script. Is that right? Am I understanding that correctly? Or did you write it, Andrew, and you okay, so you collaborated together, but you wrote it, Andrew.
Yeah, I wrote it.
Okay. Forgive me.
No, not at all. Raj is the mastermind as well. Like, I mean, a lot of people on this film were.
Andrew is the mastermind for sure. No, not at all.
Do you see how nice they were, though, that they didn't want to say, no, Raj didn't write it? Like, he was trying to, figure out, well, did he help write one letter in the script? No.
I wrote my character or something on set. Yeah, no.
Tell me a little bit, Raj, about just I don't know, what was the most fun, what was the most challenging? Because if you're playing lots of different roles, including executive producer, and you're also in the film, I'm sure that comes with its own set of interesting quirks and challenges. And I'm just curious to know more about that from you, what that was like.
It does. I will say and be very thankful that our cast and crew were so great that I really didn't have to do all that much in my role as executive producer, which was great. Everyone really executed at the top of their game and did a tremendous job. We mentioned the no egos part. Like, yeah, everyone did tremendous. I think the hardest part sometimes is separating what's going on the production end with what's going on the acting end. So like if there's maybe a small crisis happening with production, and even if I don't have to handle it, it's like I know about it, and now I have to slip into my actor mode of being like, whatever I'm doing in this particular scene. Thankfully I was playing a pretty stoic, not too like off go all goofy characters, so it fit. It worked out. But yeah, I would say that's the hardest part is getting out of the mindset of the producer and getting into the mindset of the actor, because they
absolutely.
are very
so you have to compartmentalize, I would imagine, quite a bit, and that's I respect that. That must be challenging sometimes, just flipping back and forth.
Sure.
How big was the
absolutely.
cast and crew on this project?
I think it was like maybe 55, 60 people in total. Including post-production people, maybe 65. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it was quite a lot.
And was it shot in, like, where was the bulk of the film shot?
It was all shot in LA, actually.
It was all in LA. Okay. And how long, do you mind talking about how long the production time was in terms of the shooting itself, not post?
Yeah, it was about like 4.5 weeks, I think, in total, including like all the camera prep, and we had rehearsals as well. So yeah, it was quite a while, and it was great. I mean, we had a lot of, as Raj said, an amazing cast and crew as well.
And did you find the story shifting at all or evolving as you were rehearsing, like things coming to light that you weren't aware of, that you're like, oh, I like that, let's do more? Or did you have a really solid set idea that was locked in and adhered to?
I think for me, there was one, like when I initially wrote Jason Faunt's character, it was like kind of written almost one-dimensionally, but then when I worked with him before in pre-production through phone calls and stuff, and then on set as well, we kind of made his character, like, we tried to make him multi-dimensional. Like, he's a villain, but there's a reason he's a villain. Like, he's abused by the people that he works for, and like he has a struggle paying his bills, and his wife's not contributing, so like there's the financial stress that he goes through. So it's like we kind of, I guess they say in Hollywood, it's like there's the film you write, the film you shoot, and the film you edit. And like that definitely was a big part of this, because like, when we were shooting it, it was slightly different to when we were writing it. And then same with post, we kind of, and our post-production team is absolutely amazing. They did such a good job on this.
Can you talk a little bit about like the actual time commitment? Like we talked about, that it was like 4.5 weeks to film it, but is that like 7 days a week, 12-hour days, or like what goes into actually, how many hours go into making that film?
I think we had 10-hour days, 5 days a week. So we kind of, I mean, sometimes Hollywood shoots like 12-hour days or 14-hour days, but I think we wanted to kind of give people time to rest and recover, because if people are like overworked, they're not going to do as good a job. Humans need recuperation. It's filmmaking's hard.
Did you tell that to other people? Can you put that on a shirt? That's a beautifully balanced mindset that you have and practice that you have, because a lot of films are crazy long. You said something a minute ago, Andrew, and I wanted to just ask both of you. So what I'm hearing a lot and what I know is true in this film is that it's really important to you not just to have this character, but to understand the why behind the character's behavior, to understand the genesis of how they became whatever they are, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, ugly, or whatever. I'd love to just know a little bit from each of you, or whichever who wants to talk, about why that's so important to you, and because I've seen a lot of films where they're just deeply wounded, they're a criminal, they're whatever it is, but you really don't understand the making of that, the making of that persona. Do you understand what I'm asking? Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think for me as a director, like my favorite director of all time is Christopher Nolan. Like, he's done movies like Interstellar, Inception, the Dark Knight trilogy. Mm-hmm. And I think what I love about him, Stanley Kubrick's another one of my favorites. And what I love about their films is they're thought-provoking. Like, when people, like, even to this day, people discuss the ending of 2001: A Space Odyssey. What does it mean? Like, what does the film really mean about humanity and stuff? So I guess, like, that's probably the main reason I do that, is like, I want my films to be thought-provoking. I want people to, like, discuss them. And that's kind of how, those are the films that I personally like the most, where I, like, after I watch them, like, I don't forget them, and sometimes that's hard. Like, you have to, I think a lot of film is shining a light to humanity, right? It's like we can sort of show the dark side of humanity and the good side, and like the same with the world itself and society and whatnot. Yeah, I guess that's kind of, I don't know if I answered that properly.
Oh, you did really well. And in fact, at the beginning, when I asked you about how you'd want someone to feel coming out of the movie, it sounds like part of that is you want them to think, not just come out of the movie entertained, but to go home and actually have something to process and maybe a new perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
100%. And I would add that that's, I think, the kind of therapeutic part, whether it be for the writer or for the actor who has to create the character. It may be both, depending on the script. But I think even when those aspects are maybe not explained in a movie, for better or worse, when it's a good performance, it's the actor who has dove into those attitudes, taken the introspection, figured out why his character is like that, at least for himself or their self, and put that on the screen. That's what provides a rounded performance, even if maybe the reasoning may not appear or be explicitly stated in the script.
Got it. Yeah, sometimes it just comes through in the performance. It's made known.
For
yeah,
sure.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Appreciate it.
Just to add to that, actually, like, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I think one of the reasons this film is doing well is like, it's very well acted. And as a director and a writer, it's like, there's only so much I can do. Like, it's like Raj said, like, the actor kind of has to do their own process, like, I can kind of guide them and I can tell them why I wrote this role, or like why this character needs to be this way. But the actor has to do that internal process, and Raj does a great job in the film, and everyone does, to be honest. Like, I think it's a very well acted film. And Rocio won Best Actress, the lead.
Oh, yes. Yay.
She's a very talented actress as well.
Right on. And how do you feel that you like to give the actors in your projects a lot of leeway to kind of discover new aspects of the characters for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one thing. I did a TV show, actually, that's coming out in October. And one of the actresses I work with is Chelsea Gilson. She's like a well-known TV actress, and she does films as well. She actually told me after the shoot, she said, like, what I really liked about working with you is like, you have your vision, but you also like leave a lot to the actor. And that's something like I did on this film as well. Like, I think it's important that you can't like spoon feed. You have to kind of give the ideas, but people have to, I mean, the acting process it's a very complicated and challenging one. So I think actors have to go on that journey, and they do, in this film.
Love that. It's a dance.
Where can I know people are going to be interested in wanting to see it, which they can't really right now, but is the trailer out there? Like, can people see snippets or even read about it? Where can they find more information about it?
Yeah, so we have a teaser trailer, actually. We released that, like, I think a couple of weeks ago.
I watched
there's also thank you. There's also the theme song. There's a lot of stills on IMDb. All the reviews are there on IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes. We're active on social media, so we share stills and behind the scenes stuff and interviews and stuff. So
I was just going to ask if what y'all are working on now.
I mean, who knows? You never know sometimes, but I'm leaning back into like my sketch and comedy work. And there's a film I did in Arizona called The League of Warriors, feature film that should be coming out in 2025. I think we'll be doing a festival run, so check that out.
Are you still doing your podcast?
The first episode podcast? Yeah. I've actually started doing that with with some friends of mine. It's basically a show we do. We watch the first episode of various TV shows, different ones, and do analysis on kind of the themes and see if it's worth watching for people.
I love that. And so, what's the name of the podcast? It's just called First Episode.
First Episode Podcast.
Okay. Yeah. And is there anywhere else, Raj, that you would like people to be able to locate you or reach out, find more about you?
I mean, I'm on all social media, so Raj Jawa is pretty much my handle everywhere. RajJawa.com, Jawa.la. I got it all. So yeah, just Google me. I'm there.
I'm there. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, so I'm right now. I'm also working on promoting this film, and I have a TV show coming out on Z5, which is a big Indian streaming platform. It's actually an American show, though. I mean, it's all in English, and the movie Drive was the biggest inspiration for that. So that's 10 episodes, or like 20 minutes each. So I have that coming out on Halloween. And yeah, I guess just trying to find financing for other scripts. It's a lifelong journey, you know.
Absolutely. Gosh, we really appreciate your time. I'm grateful that you both took time out of your schedule to talk with us a little bit today.
No, we're grateful to you as well. And I'd love to know more about the Wolf Media Festival, because it seems like a really big up and coming.
Well, go ahead, Richard.
Well, you're in the right spot. We'll chat after we're done filming. But congratulations on the award and the movie, and thank you so much for being here.
On all the awards, yes. Thank you both. It's been a
our thank you as well.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, you guys take good care, and we'll see you again soon, I hope.
It's the best thing you can get if you're a student. I think Prime Student is a way to really simplify the lives of college students. You get the first 6 months for free, and then you get 50% off after that.
If you go far away to school, you might not know your area. You know Amazon.com.
A lot of the dorm food is absolutely not good. Hey, I can get groceries delivered to my dorm.
The shipping, that's like super convenient.
That's my main streaming service.
There's lots of cool different unique shows on there that you can't find anywhere else.
Prime Textbook would be my go-to.
You can rent them from a semester to 2 semesters. You can buy them used or brand new.
I've saved so much money doing that.
You think it, you order it, and it's there. Everything you need.
Check the links below to see how you can get Amazon Prime free for the first 6 months.
What nice people.
I know.
It's so funny when like a horror movie comes out of people like that you just wouldn't think would be doing that. I love that.
I know. Raj and Andrew, they're so great. I love talking to them. They're just yeah. I'm the same way. I'm like, I expect when I'm going to talk to somebody about a horror film, they're going to come in and be a little really heavy and like
yeah, it's like Marilyn Manson's coming in. Yeah.
Yeah. What a terrifying film.
Oh. Are you a horror film fan?
You know, so I like certain kinds. I like psychological thrillers and I like some horror. I just don't like super extensively gory stuff on the whole. But if there's a really solid story behind it, I'll still watch it because I do appreciate the genre. How about you? Do you like horror?
I don't like horror, like gore for just gore sake. Is that a phrase?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But I like the suspense, the thriller, and then if there's, some murder or whatever involved in that, then that's cool. But I don't like just the slasher movie where people are just dying and there's nothing behind it.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I feel like my the Sixth Sense for me was like as that. I think maybe it was my age at that time, but that's like, to me, you couldn't really get better than that.
Same. That's my perfect chef's kiss kind of movie where it just there's the psychological aspect of it is really fascinating for me. And like this film, there's like this arc of characters and like that. I love that. If it's just gratuitously gory, I'm not really here for that. But I love a good story, a good mind. Can we cuss on our podcast? A good mind fuck.
Yeah,
I appreciate
that.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah, it makes me sad that we don't get to see some of these things before the guests come on.
I know.
I feel like I'm the same where I'm like, I just want to, I can only watch the 30-second trailer so many times. I want more.
I know, exactly. So I'm dying to see this. So yeah, I know. It was so nice of them to talk to us though. And now I want to watch it even more after meeting them. So fun.
I know.
Well, I'll just pop on real quick then to rub it in your face that I've watched it not once, not twice, but 3 times already. Even though it is very much a horror, I just can't help. I love those psychological aspects. It's who I am. I just like to analyze and watching her transformation because she is very much the villain and also very much the victim. And I love watching that transformation because even though she's a victim that is growing out of being a victim. It is growing in the wrong right direction. So it's like a very interesting perspective, and very Dexter meets Saw type film. And that's all I'll say about that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for the great interview. Thank you everybody who's listening. Don't forget to rate and like and subscribe and follow. And you can make sure you can click the alarms on YouTube, the slide it over thing on, iHeartRadio or Spotify. So it downloads and you're not using your data. It'll download, whenever you're near some other Wi-Fi. And you can also visit our Patreon, or buy me a coffee. It is almost my birthday. If anybody wants to buy me a coffee. That's it. I think that's it. Thanks everybody for listening. Peace out. I love you. Bye. Wolf Media Festival Podcast with Kyle Hollingsworth, Richard Wilmore, and Jacqueline Wolfhart. Produced and edited by me. I'm Jacqueline Wolfhart. Don't forget to check out the links in the description to find ways you can connect with our guests. Thanks for checking us out today and tuning in every week wherever you get your podcasts.